Yeah, hey, how's it going? This is going to be pretty quick because I have a lot of work to do today. I have some deadlines, and I also have to get the dogs walked. They're quiescent, they're all silent and relatively quiet right now. But if I don't get them their daily 3 mile walk, they're going to be unbearable. Also, it's good for me. Anyway, enough about moi, enough about yours truly. So this is going to be quick. What I wanted to do was a book recommendation. I wanted to pretty quickly recommend a couple of books, or maybe just one. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, yeah, what I was going to recommend is Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. Science fiction novel, quite good. Let's see, there is a foreword by Ursula K. Le Guin and an afterword by Boris Strugatsky himself, one of the authors. They were brothers, Arkady and Boris and the Strugatsky brothers, and they wrote science fiction together. Uh, Lived in the Soviet Union, which is an interesting historical fact, although certainly um, certainly not the most interesting. They were quite interesting guys, right? Quite interesting biographies. So you could check that out. Some of you will probably recognize the picture. This was the inspiration for a film called Stalker, which is Tartovsky. I forget. It's a great science fiction film. It's a great Russian science fiction film, and I believe that's available for free online. I believe the entire film is available on YouTube. It's well worth your time. The film is quite different from the book and departs from the book in many ways. There's a very different feel. There's a very both are excellent. So it's a bonus. The book is quite good. The film is quite good as well. So double threat. Both are what best of all possible worlds, right? Both are very good. So in talking about Roadside Picnic, if you like science fiction, and I have mixed feelings about science fiction. The problem I find with science fiction is just that most of it's pretty terrible. Most of it's really bad. I seem to have a real problem finding good science fiction. So if you want to recommend things, certainly that's welcome. And I was surprised. I checked the list of top 100 science fiction novels, and I'd read several of them. Actually, I think I'd read nearly most of them. So I've read a lot of science fiction, but a lot, I guess. I mean, relative to the other stuff I read, I haven't read that much science fiction. Mostly, I've read other things. But yeah, I find it hard to find good science fiction novels. I don't know why that is. I mean, I have some ideas, and we could discuss those in another video. I could discuss those at another time. But anyway, at any rate, to get to the point, Roadside Picnic is quite good. The basic plot, the basic idea is that it's set on Earth, and there's been an encounter with an alien civilization. It's set on Earth, and it's an alternative Earth. It's an Earth that went slightly different from ours. It's entirely recognizable as our Earth. I mean, it might, at most, it's a near future Earth. It's entirely recognizable. Although I must say, one of the charming things about the book is it doesn't have it's not explicitly located in a certain place, or you never know if the action is taking place in France or America or Russia or whatnot. The location is literary, not in the real world, and that really is kind of that's kind of fascinating for other reasons. I mean, the Strugatsky's writing in the Soviet Union, right, writing under that relatively not relatively, I mean certainly an oppressive regime, and I mean, kind of as Ursula, as Le Guin points out, right, they write as free men, right? Their writing is not. They're not writing as citizens of the Soviet Union who have to do this, right? They're writing as free men, and that is really kind of a charming aspect, I think, of the book, worth mentioning. At any rate, there's been contact with an alien civilization. There's been contact with extraterrestrials of a rather odd form. Certain zones have appeared, certain areas have appeared on the Earth, and as if the Earth were struck in some manner by some kind of alien civilization, and in these zones, things are very strange when you go into the zones. The zones are restricted; you're not supposed to go into them. Very dangerous. Very dangerous in the zones. And they're very strange. It's very strange, right? When you enter the zone, very, very strange things can happen. And it's various stalkers. The stalkers are scavengers. The stalkers are people who undertake the risky adventure of going into the zones and coming out with artifacts, coming out with things. We were bringing things out of the zone. One of the great things they bring out what are called empties, and they have these. I guess it's like kind of like maybe two metal discs, and the disc, there's something like there's a force field or something in between the disc, but they look empty. And at the beginning, the narrator is promising to get a scientist a full empty. They're empties, which I think have some kind of blue stuff in them or something. So offering to get a full empty. There's some real humor to Roadside Picnic, which it was just one thing I often find science fiction really kind of lacking on. There's some very good humor to Roadside Picnic, to the writing. The characters are quite flesh and blood. The characters are quite likable, right? They're quite they're flawed, they're familiar, they're charming by turns, right? They're also not likable in a lot of ways. And it's kind of fascinating to see how it plays out. I should also mention there is kind of a theme, and this will come up when I'm not going to tell you about this time, but I'll talk about another Strugatsky book. It's called Probably Maybe. But one of the themes, at least one thing I've noticed in both of these two books, in both there's Earth, there's both human beings, right, coming into contact with something much more advanced, right? Some civilization, some alien civilization that's much more advanced, and how mysterious that is, right? I think one of the things that's striking about the Strugatsky novels, certainly about Roadside Picnic and about Definitely Maybe, is that it's a bit different from, I think, a lot of science fiction. A lot of science fiction, there's an alien encounter and it's a huge deal. There's a war. There are big consequences. There's huge significant ramifications for human beings and probably for the aliens as well, the extraterrestrials. Roadside Picnic and Probably Maybe are not like that. The extraterrestrial forces are very distant, very vague, and all the more fascinating for that because it seems that is much more. It's hard for me to think that's much more that the contact would be much more of that nature, frankly, inherently dissatisfying in a lot of ways. And it does kind of, and Roadside Picnic especially, I think, does put humanity in kind of a fascinating position of being the scavengers, being the kind of cargo cult, picking over what's been sort of presumably accidentally left by an alien civilization, and having no real idea what these things are, having no real clue about this technology. I should also, and this seems. I remember a William Gibson story I read, or science fiction, a William Gibson story I read, which it very much had a similar kind of thing, where humanity was very much a kind of a cargo cult, getting these kind of odd leavings from other civilizations, from alien civilizations. Quite interesting. I did wonder if Roadside Picnic and perhaps Probably Maybe were not the inspiration for that story. It's a good story. It's a good Gibson story. I'll look that up and mention that, or I'll mention it in the comment, or I'll mention it down below. And whatever those things on YouTube are called, because honestly, the lingo, I've not mastered it yet. All right, so anyway, Roadside Picnic. I'm not going to say more about it than that. I don't want to do spoilers. It's quite short. It's quite brief, which also is nice, right? There's a real economy. There's a real economy of means in the writing, and it's good writing. I think they did definitely a good job. Well worth checking out. If you do, please let me know what you think. I'd be interested to hear what you think of it. And if you have things to recommend, that would be great as well. All right, so again, Roadside Picnic, Arkady, and Boris Strugatsky. Again, apology. Not again, as I didn't apologize in the first place, but apologies for butchering the Russian names with my American accent. Sorry about that. But good book. Definitely should check it out. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody. See you around. Bye.